Okay, you're good to go, Stace.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. It is so nice that we have you all here and that we get to connect in this way since we can't connect in person right now. I know our whole team has been really appreciating the visual and the virtual technology that exists. So hopefully you all get to take advantage of that somehow in your own professional and personal lives. So thank you for joining us today. We want to spend some time with you talking about how you can continue to connect with your kids. And I can tell you well, first of all, let me start. And here's what we're going to do. I'm not going to read all the slides to you, but we really want to understand best practices and share some new ideas of how to stay connected. And we'll share some resources. What's been really fantastic for our staff, and particularly our leadership team, to hear from our coordinators and who are amazing, is to hear from them about all the things you are all doing still on behalf of your kids. You're adapting. We have heard some really inventive stories and things that you're doing. You're very creative, still very invested in serving the kids that we serve. And that are part of Advocates for Children. And on behalf of the entire staff, we are super appreciative of that. And it's so important, and you're continuing to make a difference. So we want to thank you for that. And we're doing this today. We want to make sure that because things are a little bit different and we're doing our advocacy work in a different way, that we are aware of best practices, maintaining ongoing safety and confidentiality. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Then we want to hear from all of you about what's going well for you and what creative things you're doing, what challenges and things like that. So as we go through, if you have questions, put those in the chat box. We'll get to a slide when I ask for some things that are going well for you. So there's a spot to raise your hand, right, Amy?
I don't think you can raise your hand, but we're watching we'll make it a quote unquote hand raise while we watch the comment box.
Okay. Because we're going to want to hear from you, a couple of you, about what you've done to share with your fellow volunteers. Because hearing from the folks that are out there doing the work is so important. So if you have questions, please ask them. We will get to as many of them as we can. In just a moment, we're going to move on to the best practices, and I'm going to have Josefina share kind of what our advocacy looks like and our contact with kids looks like right now with the new statewide stay in place ordinance. So before we get into all the best practices, Josefina, do you want to do that right now?
Sure. Sorry, I had to take myself up of mute here.
I'm surprised you was doing it now, so I apologize.
Yeah, so I have we've been monitoring this very closely, and we take all the orders very seriously. So I want to continue to encourage people. First and foremost, we want to follow any order that's in place statewide. We do recognize that there are some exceptions to this rule, and based on CDHS, which is Colorado Department of Human Services, we're following their same protocol around this. We realize that we work with very vulnerable families who may not have access to resources such as transportation, or may need items that may need to be dropped off to them. If you happen to be in a situation where you have been asked to drop some things off to your CASAs, your children and your families, please be cognizant of the rules set in place, which are keep 6 feet of distance. We would prefer that you drop things off at a doorstep. We are following both Governor Polis's direction of the vulnerable population and making sure that we can get resources to them, but also just being very cognizant of your own needs and not exposing you all when you feel like that would be of greater risk. If there are things that need to be fulfilled for our families, please reach out to your coordinator and let us know. We will figure out ways to get them what they need. We recognize that there are a lot of different tools out there right now to help support families, but many of the barriers that our families faced before, such as transportation and just access to some things are still in place right now. So we want to help bridge that gap when we can. The biggest piece that I can tell you all right now is just communicate more often with your volunteers so that we can get that information out to our community partners and those supporting us right now, and then get resources into the hands of families and children.
Thank you, Josefina. And did you talk about, sorry, I was typing something. Did you mention carrying their order of appointment?
Oh, my apologies. You're right. So what CDH has put in place is they have to carry their badges. For our volunteers, we ask you to carry your order of appointment along with my personal phone number. I think coordinators have that, but for those of you who are jotting down information, my number is 303-406-1753. If you're stopped and there are questions about your role as an essential employee for an organization that supports a vulnerable population, please have them call me directly and I will take it from there.
And we'll also be giving out some resources via email tomorrow, and that information will be in there as well. Thanks, Josefina. Any questions around that? So Joelle, my child has a birthday this week, but I dropped something off for her even though it isn't a necessary item. I would say in this circumstance that celebrating a birthday and just dropping something off would be necessary. I think celebrating those in a way that's safe and fun and it can be acknowledged is important. All right. Any other questions? Excellent. So we're going to move on to some best practices. So the video calls, those are huge. I've been using them with my family and my friends, and they're really awesome. But when it comes to the population that we serve, we need to be cautious and remember confidentiality and practicing safe communication with our kids. So I'm going to be really clear, making sure that any user accounts for any of the chat options are not created in the child's name. So certainly anyone under 13 can't create a user account, and please do not create one for them using your name in any way, please, with the video chat providers. You can create your own, work with the care provider, but make sure that the kids are not involved in creating that in any way. Obviously, please be careful about sharing any kind of personal information on the video with the video chat provider, including through a text chat feature. And we want to make sure that we're choosing technologies that permit use by children under 13. So the first three do: Zoom, Messenger Kids, FaceTime. Skype, I learned, does not. So happily, none of you on this call right now are under 13, I am assuming. Because if you are, you shouldn't be CASAS. See, I'm going to make myself laugh, if nothing else, because I can't hear you all. Thank you, Janine. Okay, so we're going to move on more with some more best practices with the video chats. Be really cognizant. We are all working from home, and if you have other folks in the home with you, you need to make sure, Nancy, it's like watching Jimmy Fallon with no audience. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. You need to make sure that you go into another room, shut the door, so that anyone living in the home with you can't hear what you're talking about. The privacy and confidentiality of our kids doesn't change because of this current situation. So be really cognizant of who's around and who's listening, please. And that goes with the next point of not discussing private information about the child. You really need to be clear of who's listening in. Same, because you don't know who's listening on their end as well. As we tell you, when you're having face-to-face contact with your kids and families, do not record the chat, either audio or visual. There's no recording of that, please. We must protect the confidentiality. And you can't guarantee that when using video chat technology, and we don't want those things being forwarded accidentally. So please don't record that. Questions on any of that? All right. So these are good best practices always, now and beyond this current situation, for phone calls and texts. So some things to remember. Again, please be very aware of your surroundings. There are laws protecting, and I'll put this in the handout that's going to come out tomorrow, but there are laws that protect kids in vulnerable situations, so we want to be cognizant of those. So be aware of your surroundings always when talking about your case with a professional or to anybody, the kids or care providers. Make sure you know who's around and who's listening. Do not text any confidential information that would identify the child, where they live, details about the case, anything like that. And it should be done texting. It's easy to send text late at night. I know our own work group, we had to, tell everybody, let's take a break from the late night texting, because even though hilarious, we want to respect everybody's bedtimes and family time. So reasonable hours, please. And please don't delete text conversations, emails, anything until after the case closes. Really important to know that all messaging of any kind on your cases, emails, texts, anything like that, are discoverable by the court down the road possibly. So be cognizant of that as you are communicating with anybody on your case. All right. No? I'm assuming if there's no questions in the chat box that you have no questions. Okay.
There was a question, Stacey, about if this applies to the legacy mentors and the tutors as well.
Thank you. That popped up just as you were saying that. Thank you. It applies to every single child or youth that we serve and every volunteer position here at Advocates for Children. So these are across the board. And it's really important to remember that, because the older youth have their own phones, and texting is a thing. So just be cognizant of that when you're texting back. Janine, are you asking about cutting and pasting the text messages? If you can save them in your phone, great. Otherwise, if you want to, you can download them into an email file perhaps, or take a screenshot and save them into a file. I think you can do that too. This is, something that we are, screenshots would definitely work. If you've already deleted, that is what it is, and that's okay. It's not something, as we were preparing for this webinar and really looking at the different ways you're all communicating with your kids right now, this became part of the conversation over the last couple of days about not deleting things and being cautious of what you share over text and email and things like that. So it's not something that we have uniformly told you all. We're doing that now, and we'll be doing that going forward with all new CASAs and volunteers with our agency. So from this point forward, don't delete. And if you don't have enough capability in your phone, do a screenshot and save it in a file. Anything else on that? Yeah.
This is Josefina. If I can just add, I think it's Janine who's talking about putting in Optima. And ultimately, if you are copying and pasting into a Word document, we would like you to upload that information or get that to your coordinator, and we'll upload it under contact logs, or we'll identify where that makes the most sense. The biggest piece to remember is there are acts in place to protect child privacy, and also for the online side and video calling, but also if something gets asked for in court and somebody refers to a text message, us keeping those and not deleting that is so that we have it at our fingertips for reference. If it does need to be requested by the courts, they'll ask for the actual documentation through your cell phone provider. So if you've already deleted things, I wouldn't worry about it. As Stacey said, this is something that has given us an opportunity to just step back, look at our current practices. How can we improve going forward, even if this wasn't happening? And where can we tighten up some things that maybe we haven't been paying as close of attention to, but we should be as a whole. So this just gives us an opportunity to fine tune things. Don't be concerned if you have deleted. If it is requested by a court, they would ask for it to be provided from your provider and not just you handing over a phone. But for our purposes, we like to have that at our fingertips and know exactly what the conversation looked like if it was being requested.
Absolutely. And also, if we know what's happening in the conversations, we can support you too if there's some things that your families need. So serves two purposes there. So using apps, there are a ton of apps, and I'm learning because of this situation, a whole bunch of more. I'm real active on House Party. I don't know about anybody else, but between my family, my niece and nephews, and my friends, House Party has been real popular. So make sure they're age appropriate. Make sure, again, with a child that's 13 or under, that they are not in any way registering for an app or taking that on, and that you're not doing it for them either. So anything technology that would require the child to sign on really needs to go through the care provider. You should not be setting up an account or anything like that, and making sure that you're in touch with the people taking care of them. Questions about the technology or any of that fun stuff? Okay. It's a new world just in terms of what the technology is, what we're capable, what we're able to do with technology. And so it's been a huge gift in this particular instance, but it's also comes with things that we need to be cognizant of and best practices. And so because of this situation, I'm guessing technology is going to be even more prominent as we move forward past this situation. So remembering these things will be important, and they will become part of our best practices going forward. All righty. Nope, sorry, went the wrong way. Really, I know how to do this. Okay, so like I said, we have been hearing, your coordinators have been sharing some really great, amazing mission moments is what we call them, where our CASAs are out there and sharing the stories and the work that you're all doing. And then coordinators share those stories, and one, it makes our whole day, and two, it reinforces for us every single time we see those how important all of you are in the lives of the children that you serve. And I know that some of the things that you're doing may seem small and like no-brainers, but I assure you, every thoughtful thing you're doing for your kids now and in the future impacts them and reminds them that you care about them, and that is huge for them. So everything you're doing, we thank you. I was going to show you video, but I'm having a hard time figuring out how to do that. But the video, it's on I think it's on our Facebook page. Is that correct, Andrea or Jack? One of our CASAs shared a great video. She was doing virtual story time with her kids. And so what she recorded was her, yep, it's on our Facebook page, guys. What she recorded is the setup that she had before she ever started story time. So there's nothing with her kids on there, but boy, was she creative and involved a lot of stuffed animals. And I think it was Tigger that was having a rough day. So it's worth seeing, just that creativity and that caring. So what we'd like to hear from you all is, what have you been doing to stay connected? What are your stories? We'd love to hear it. So if you've got one, just put a comment and then I'll call on you. And I know they're out there because your coordinators are telling us about it. Pam, okay, if you can turn on, I know you're not on video because you're in your PJs, but share your story.
Okay, it's not that much thinking outside the box, but did do a porch drop off with some games and DVDs for the kids, also some snacks for the family, and a gift card to Little Caesars, which does have takeout. So did that for the family, and they were very appreciative.
That is awesome because you gave them some new activities to do, some food. So that's awesome. So you may not feel like it's thinking outside the box, but it is super important. And I have no doubt they appreciated that, as do we. So thank you for doing that. Katie Klein, you've got one. Do share.
All right, so I'm not gonna turn my video on, sorry guys. But I am a brand new CASA, so I haven't actually met my kiddos yet. And I was talking to the foster mom, and she said that the calls with the parents aren't going that well and they're just not that engaged. So I was a little disappointed that I'm going to have to introduce myself by phone. But I went and I got from just like a little bakery, they had a build your own or decorate your own cookie set. And I'm going to go drop it off. And then I thought we could have a call together and decorate our cookies together and chat.
Oh my gosh. I love that. What a great way to meet your kiddo for the first time, and do something fun. And you're setting yourself up so when you get to meet the kids in person, that rapport is already starting. So I love that. I want to decorate cookies virtually with somebody. That's awesome. Anybody else? Robbie.
Well, I'm also a new CASA with my first case, and I was just beginning to build a relationship with one of my CASA kiddos. I didn't feel that it would be that engaging to try to do FaceTime or anything like that. So I know that my kiddo likes to read and loves math. So I'm an educator by background, and I have a lot of just materials at home. So I picked a math book that was appropriate to his grade level and came up with a set of fun questions to ask him and typed those out with a letter to him and sent a stamped self-addressed envelope, which I now know has to have the CASA address on it, not my mistake. And sent it to him so that he could respond to the questions and send them back. And then I also encouraged him to ask me questions to help us continue to get to know one another. And I'm going to try to do that every week. And I came up with a list of an indoor scavenger hunt and an outdoor scavenger hunt. And so this week I'm going to invite him to go on a scavenger hunt. And I'm going to do the same with the list and then see if we can take pictures of the items that we collected and have that as a way to just kind of talk about what we found on our scavenger hunt.
Oh my gosh. I love that. That's incredibly creative. Wow. Wow.
And those are the ones, Stacey, that I think if we did have like a shared Google Drive or something, if people come up with ideas, like I'd be happy to just upload those so people can see those if we can just kind of borrow from other people's ideas.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And thanks for reminding me of that, Robbie. We'll talk about it with the team when we get off this. With the address, and I want to just cover that real quick. So yes, it needs to be the CASA address. And because we're not in our building yet, and even if we were, we wouldn't be in our building right now, we do want you to use the address of the new building as a return address, and that will be in the handouts that you get tomorrow. But we can't guarantee when we can get something forwarded to you. So we'll have to use some creativity on those scavenger hunts and those things that you want to share back and forth. Maybe that's something you do virtually, maybe over email with the care provider somehow. So just be cognizant of that. We'll have more direction about that in the handouts.
Stacey?
Yeah.
And it may be that
Hi, Kate.
Hi, this is Kate Ashley. I'm one of the case coordinators. And it may be that for forwarding, that may mean that we perhaps take a picture and send it to you. And the physical mail comes later, but we're still working out all the details there. But to maintain confidentiality,
Yes.
that address has to be, and it's the new Parker, Colorado address that will be on the handout materials.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Kate. I agree with Amy. Joelle, you should still share.
Okay. I did a Starbucks run for my CASA kid because she loves Starbucks. And the sweet girl did say, could you bring cake pops for my two sisters that live in the home? Because I don't want them to feel hurt. So I dropped that at the doorstep. But this was before the stay at home. So she was able to come out and we stayed 6 feet apart, but we were able to take a walk in the neighborhood and at least get caught up a little bit. And we both found that really helpful. But with the new stay at home orders, that won't work. She did mention, though, an app that some people might want to consider. It's called Rave. And with Rave, you invite someone to watch a video with you, and then you can talk about what you're seeing to each other while you're watching a movie. And she had been using it with a friend. That's how she was keeping in touch with her best friend, as they were watching a movie. It reminded me of what was that science fiction theater that they used to have on TV, where they would watch an old sci-fi movie and make rude comments about what they were seeing. So it reminded me of that. But it does sound like it would be fun. That is for some people to do, watch a movie and then talk with their kid about what they're seeing.
That's an awesome idea. And there was something you said in there that triggered something, and then it left my brain. So hopefully it'll come back up. So Kristen, I do happen to know from somebody else that moving, if it's already scheduled, is an essential task, because I don't know that you can stop it that quickly. But I think you can check with the state on that perhaps, but that is my understanding. Carly, are you on?
Yes, sorry, I had to unmute my mic.
You had a great story that you shared with the team yesterday. Will you share that one, please? You know which one I'm talking about?
The birthday?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. So, I don't checking to see if the CASA's on the call. I'm not sure, but we had it was a 12-year-old CASA kid's birthday over the weekend. But the CASA, obviously couldn't take her out anywhere to celebrate. So instead, she had the really sweet idea of coming over, and she brought presents, a cake, some extra food, some extra books for the kids in her foster home. And then her and the birthday girl actually sat on opposite sides of the screen door, and she was able to wish her a happy birthday, and they were able to chat for a little bit while still maintaining the distance. So I thought that was such a sweet idea to still stay connected and make her birthday special without breaking the 6 feet rule.
Yeah, that story, every time I hear it, just makes me very happy. Thanks, Carly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the birth dates are in Optima. Kim, you have a story.
Hey, everybody. I was just talking to one of my truancy CASAs today. And of course, there is no school and no truancy court going on at this point in time. But she is still staying connected with her teenage boy and his family and his school. This is not necessarily super creative or anything like that, but it's super practical because all of the schools are going to an online learning model. She made sure that he had the technology, the internet access, and that she was connected with all of his teachers at school so that they would know that he is ready to go and set up with online learning. So that's just a suggestion and a very practical thing that I think CASAS can do going forward, as we don't know how long kids are going to be out of school and doing online learning.
Thank you, Kim. That is a great one for sure. Janine plans on meeting with her tutoring student daily until she gets the hang of remote learning. Awesome. Meaning by phone, just to be clear. That is great. Anybody else have one more story or idea you want to share? These are so great, and I'm not going to lie, making my whole day. Alexa.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. I almost spilled my water on myself. That was a good call. This is just an idea that I've seen from the kiddos in my neighborhood when I've been going on walks, but kids have been making little handmade signs or doing gratitude chalk walks. So there's a lot of, I hope you're having a good day, enjoy the sunshine, and cute little kid handwriting all over my neighborhood, which I think is really sweet. So maybe that could be a conversation that CASAS could have with their kiddos. Like, I know that you're not in school right now and you don't get to see some of your friends, and that can be kind of sad. But what are some things that you're grateful for? And then maybe when they're going out and getting some fresh air with their parents or placement providers or anything like that, maybe they can just spread some love in the neighborhood. Because I know for us specifically going on walks, it's been nice to see the cute little handwriting with some kid said he was grateful for his fish. So I think those are always nice to see, but just a thought.
Thank you, Alexa. And what that brings up is something that we talk about at the office all the time and with our volunteers is really part of your role is helping them be kids and reminding everybody that these are kids. And so if you can find these great ways to have them make notes and cheer other people up and chalk the sidewalk, I mean, who doesn't want to do that? That really helps them retain the childhood piece for them, because this is scary. They're not seeing their teachers. They're not going to school. Parenting time has been curtailed in person. That looks different. So many things that the kids are used to right now have changed, and they've already had so much change. So if there's a way for you all to help them be kids, that's such an important piece of what you do. Please keep sharing those ideas with us. Painting rocks. Oh, yes. Sorry, Joelle just shared the painting rocks idea. Hello. I'm going to go paint my own rocks. So just remember that these are kids, and you can help them be kids as best as possible during this incredibly unprecedented situation. So thank you, everybody. Those are amazing. Makes my heart feel happy. That rock idea is something else. Okay, so I know we have a lot of
Stacey, real fast.
Oh, yeah.
Can I just read that comment about the rocks for those who are able to see the chat box? I thought maybe we could read that aloud. Joelle said that she has a similar suggestion. Kids can paint rocks with cheerful messages or pictures and leave them by doorsteps or mailboxes in the neighborhood. Janine said that she saw today on a walk that somebody wrote, "Alexa, pour the wine." That's really funny. Janine also said there are also a lot of bear hunts going on too. People placing stuffed bears in windows as they walk around outside. Thank you for
those are all so great. And I love that. And what's important is, we obviously can't do these with our kids side by side, but giving them the ideas to do in their homes with the care providers and the other kids in the home is a great idea, because as you all know, for those of you who are parents who have your kids home 24/7 right now and not in school, it's challenging to keep everybody busy and feeling safe and content as much as possible. So giving ideas that the care providers can do with the whole family, with everybody in the home, is such a great idea and very helpful. So simple but really important ways that you can help your families. Yeah, thank you all to everyone who shared. Just amazing. And please keep sharing these with your coordinators and making sure that they're going into your Optima logs. We do share these stories, and these stories are shared with our supporters and our donors. And so please know that what you're doing truly matters for the kids, but out in the community as well. So thank you. Okay, we do want to talk about challenges, because I'm guessing there might be one or two in these circumstances. So we want to talk about those a little bit. Certainly contact with the kids is modified, but we're still hoping you can maintain regular contact as much as possible to the best of your ability, and age appropriate. I mean, a 2-year-old kiddo is probably not going to be on a FaceTime for very long. So what, if any, challenges have you all faced staying in touch? And if you want to start in the comments, we'll go from there. Because I know there have been some, we've heard them. One of the ones, while we're waiting for questions that we've heard, is particularly for those of you who are newer CASAs getting started, is how to meet the kids. And so one of the things that we talked about with the team yesterday with our coordinators is talk to the caseworker and the guardian ad litem, because their contact looks different also. So see what they're doing, and maybe one of their virtual calls, instead of going to the home with them, you can do a virtual call with them. So some ways to get started. You can certainly reach out to the care providers, and your coordinators have all sorts of ideas and ways that they can help support you in that. Pam, that's a really good reminder that it's important to remember the other kids that are in the family when dropping off items. So just making sure we don't exclude the other kids in the home. So that's a really important reminder, because not every kiddo in a foster home has a CASA necessarily. So that's awfully thoughtful and appropriate to remember. Joelle, tutoring without being with the student is very difficult. Kim, do you have any thoughts about that? Kim, are you still on? So I think somebody had, Janine's happy to be a resource for that. Awesome. Lisa, I'll get to your question in just a sec. So I think with the tutoring piece, it is challenging, but we had an idea that was discussed earlier about maybe sharing some worksheets and things like that. Robbie's got some ideas. So we'll work on figuring out that Google Docs idea. Amy, maybe you and I can talk about that offline and see if that's something that we can set up. So you can all communicate some ideas to each other and see what we could do for that, because that's a great idea. Okay. Zoom calls for tutors and their kids. Zoom calls are a really awesome tool. From Kim. Lisa, I haven't met 2 of my kids because of home relocation and illness, so I try to connect with them. Yeah, we definitely want you to connect with them, because here's the deal with that. One, if you're newer to the cases, you can start building reports, different obviously, but as soon as all of this is lifted and we're able to be connected in the same room and in the same location with people, we want you to be able to hit the ground running with your cases as soon as possible. So if you can start laying some groundwork, and one of the ideas that one of our coordinators shared yesterday during our meeting is talking about with the kids, when we get to spend time together, what are some of the things you want to do? And start making plans and talking about some of the things that you all can do together. And then say, okay, when we know the day is coming and you can set that date with them, say, we've got this whole list. What do you want to do first? And so giving them a little bit of control over what they're doing, but also starting to build rapport and learning about the kids and what they want to do. And then you can hit the ground running when we're beyond this current challenge.
Stacey, I just wanted to note that Zoom allows for free calls for, I think it's up to 3 participants for 40 minutes. So you can do that for free without having to have a Skype, or a Zoom membership or pay for any of that.
And Zoom has waived their 40 minutes limit right now.
Oh, thanks, Todd.
Excellent. Thank you, Todd.
I did not know that. That's very good to know. And Janine did it with 5 yesterday. So Zoom is it's similar to Skype. It's a virtual, I'm not describing well. It's a virtual communication tool, a lot of Zoom meetings. If anyone can describe that better than I can right now, feel free to pipe up. But it's similar to Skype, although I think it's a little easier to use, honestly.
I believe that we're going to have the link for Zoom on the handout that Stacey will be sending out tomorrow. So if you don't have Zoom yet, you can Google it, or we'll have the link included. And Alex just inserted it. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
And thanks, Janine.
It's all about teamwork here, folks. All about teamwork. Other challenges that folks have been encountering. So one thing to remember, the caseworkers and the guardians ad litem are all still working. Some are virtually, but they're all still working. So we are working on a tool that we'll be sharing with all of you hopefully next week to help really kind of streamline communication with your teams. But you should still be communicating with the caseworker and the guardian ad litem and see how are they having contact with the kids. If you're having concerns, your coordinators can help coach you through that. But that is not different than when we're not in this situation. So they are very much essential personnel. So you want to make sure you're keeping in touch with your caseworker and your guardian ad litem on your cases and working together. And we're hearing really great things from our professional teams and appreciating the information that you're all sharing, that you're all able to keep in touch with the kids more regularly. So that's awesome. Keep doing that. Okay. Yeah, has anyone had challenges getting in contact with your families right now? I feel like I should play the Jeopardy music right now. No? Okay. Oh, no. If you are running into challenges, as you hear us say all the time, call your coordinator. Yeah, Kristen.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I think particularly with kids that are in truancy court right now and the ambiguity related to some of the school districts and how they're going to set up their online learning, at least here in Littleton and Aurora, or Cherry Creek schools, it's very hard to motivate a kid who hasn't been motivated to go to school to get online and to be able to get those credits. So looking for I'm going to be getting in touch with school people because and this family is also moving. And so there's no internet connection. So for me, it's all about on phone at this point in time. So it's just a challenge.
It is a challenge. Anyone have thoughts about that? I mean, I think Kim can help you with some of that for sure. And I think your plan to be in touch with the school, and hopefully once they move, they could get set up with the internet, and there's resources for that if they can't afford internet.
Stacey, this is Kim. I'm figured out my mute button and I'm back.
Hey.
I just want to say that the school district websites do have some helpful information. And I know that, Kristen, I know for your situation is a little bit unique, but schools are helping students with learning devices, and they're surveying parents to kind of find out what their technology and internet needs are, because some families have devices but no reliable Wi-Fi or internet connections. So the school districts are aware of that. And I can help anyone who may have questions about particular school districts and what they're doing to help families sort that out.
That is fantastic. Kim is such a valuable resource in our office. So thank you, Kim.
Kim, will you type your email into the chat box so people can have it if they need to contact you?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Maggie, what you just typed is really important. Would you mind just sharing that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I've observed from having conversations with some of the mentors over the last week is that families are kind of in survival mode right now. They're dealing with some pretty unprecedented changes in terms of all of a sudden having more mouths to feed for 3 meals a day, all of a sudden having more kids in the house, juggling work from home, just like all of us are doing. And so I think that it's easy for CASAS or mentors to kind of get pushed to the back burner because there's so many immediate needs that are coming up. So I just want to encourage all of you to try to reach out a little bit more frequently and still be consistent, because I think that kids really need as much stability as possible right now, and being reminded that their CASA or mentor isn't going anywhere is very critical during this time.
Yes, thank you, Maggie. It's so important. Ben, let's see. So Ben has a 2-year-old, so Zoom meetings not as helpful probably. But yeah, definitely dropping the games and off. Any ideas for those of you that are working with younger kids about how you're connecting with them? Story time might be fun too, if you could do a virtual one with that, Ben.
Stacey, this is Maggie. Could I jump in real quick?
Heck yeah.
So even though I work with older kids in the Legacy program, I have my own personal CASA case, and I have a 3-year-old right now.
A cutest.
And yeah, who's the cutest ever. I'm totally not biased, but I think that one thing that I would encourage you to keep in mind too is, even though that attention span is shorter with the little guys, I feel like this is a good opportunity for me to be checking in with his foster parents and see how they're doing and kind of communicate with them more and see if there's other resources or things that would be helpful for them, because now they have kids in the house all day, every day.
Great idea. Yeah, that's a really good point, Maggie. Thank you. Alexa, absolutely.
Maggie and I are like usually so in sync with these things. So she just reiterated what I was going to say is I think sometimes too, one of the best ways that we can help children is helping their families. And so if it was bringing over like some tea bags and a cup of tea along with checking in with kiddos or something like that, to just let the families know that, you know, you are aware that everyone's going through a very difficult time right now, and that not only are you thinking about your CASA kiddos, but you're also thinking about the families that support them.
Absolutely. And to that end, because you have the one family and the one CASA case, you may be their first phone call as you start to build that rapport and continue that rapport with your families, which will lead us into our next slide here in just a sec, but really about us being able to support you and helping them fulfill their needs. So Joelle has a great idea. Her 2-year-old granddaughter lives in Australia, which is far. She sends her short videos and some photos of her. She loves that. So something to do with the littles too, which is a great idea. Great ideas, all of you, everybody. Thank you so much. So one of the things that we've been really dialed into at the office through your coordinators and through what you're sharing is what needs the kids and care providers have right now. So is there anything that any of you have really been cognizant of that the families are in need of, whether it's help with food or mental health services or entertainment, anything out there? Because our development team, I'm telling you, is on it and working with our community who really wants to support our work and support the kids we serve. So now's the time. Any needs? And you can tell us beyond today too. I'm just saying this is a good time. Anything you're seeing out there that your families need?
Hey, Stacey, it's Katie. My foster mom told me that she's just worried about like keeping the kids occupied and finding them good things to do. So she's been buying workbooks. But if we had like sheets that we could send to them, or even just things to keep the kids occupied that are more productive than video games or TV.
Absolutely. Writing that down, as I'm sure other folks on this call are writing it down. That's a great idea. Okay. Be thinking about that, folks. If you are hearing from your families that they need something, we have some really great resources. So everyone in our office has come up with some resources, and Jack has done a really amazing job of compiling all of those on our website. There's a whole tab just for this situation. The link is on your screen, but you can also go to our website and just click right on the link. There's some really amazing resources out there coming from all different parts of the community. So absolutely check those out to help the family. And there might be something on there that might be able to help you out as well. Who knows? Because we would like you all to be taking care of yourselves during this time, because you're home with your families or working from home, and this is tough. And so while you're taking care of your CASA families, we need to make sure you're taking care of yourselves. So some of those resources might help you. And Jack is helping with the link in the chat notes. Thank you, Jack. And I can't stress enough, if you need something for your families, there's no dumb ask, there's no stupid questions. Your coordinators are here for you, and our whole office is here to support each other and all of you. And so we really have a magnificent development team who has developed a really great community partners for us. So we've got things in the works. It can be something like a new bed or a new mattress, or just ways to keep the kids entertained, or they're having struggles getting enough food. We can help. There are things that we have. So please, 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 please reach out. And then Kate from our office, our wonderful Kate, has put together a really great resource document that we're going to fine tune just a tiny bit. I'm going to add some of the best practices to it, and that will be emailed out to all of our CASAs and volunteers tomorrow. So you'll have all of that information and some of the things that we shared in this PowerPoint. Any other last minute questions? Any thoughts from our staff? Anything I missed anywhere, folks?
This is Amy. I just wanted to put a reminder out there that yes, this does count for continuing education. We got that question earlier. So please make sure you go into Optima and include and put this in there. We had 45 people on this call at the peak of our time. So thank you everybody for your engagement. And a silver lining, as one of our staff said, to this situation that we all find ourselves in is we've gotten creative with doing webinars and such, and hope to be able to use this platform moving forward for some of our continuing education opportunities.
Yes. Josefina just put her number in. Thank you. And that will also be in the handouts you get tomorrow. I really can't, on behalf of our entire staff and our entire office, you inspire us. And I'm going to get all emotional, so I'm not going to say too much more because I don't want to, I'll get all emotional, but you are truly remarkable people doing such important work, and we appreciate you more than we can possibly ever say. So we are here for you. Thank you for still working with your kids and understanding the importance of that right now. You guys rock, and we're here for you, and hopefully we'll get to see you in person before long. We might have some more of these before we're done with the shelter in place, so we'll keep you posted if we're going to do that. Pam, I'm glad you're feeling the love. And Joelle, thank you. We needed the connection too. It's really important for us to know all the great work that you're doing and be reminded of that. So thank you. We needed the connection with all of you as well.
I just wanted to give a shout out real fast. Megan made a comment earlier on that we never were able to touch base on. Megan Galgado said that she's doing a joke, or thinking of doing a joke of the day with her kids, which I think is a fabulous idea. She has a couple teenagers on her caseload.
I don't know, maybe that's something we should do internally too. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And Janine asked how the move is going. It's going well. As far as we know, things are still moving ahead. We're just waiting for updates as we get them. But yeah, we're full force ahead.
And there will come a time when we're in the building and there will be an open house and you'll all get to see it and we'll all get to hug and you know, do all the things that we like to do. So keep connected, keep in touch with your coordinator, take care of yourselves, and know that we appreciate you all so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Lisa, you are on. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Jack.